Greeting to Professor Dr. Muhammad Hisham Lee and Desmond Lee Ching Ying, third-year student from SACE. Today, I will present my research proposal entitled Forecasting Car Sales Using the Univariate and the Multivariate Time Series Model with 5 chapters. The first chapter is the introduction. In the content of the introduction, I have the background of the problem, statement of the problem, objective of the study, scope of the study, and significance of the study. In the background of the problem, the Malaysian car industry in the Southeast Asia is the third biggest and the worldwide is at the rank 23. The multivariate time series are the forecasting method that provide the better prediction and the scalar time series. However, the current research provided the univariate method for the forecasting the car sales because the multivariate time series model is more difficult to be used and the model's comparisons and the car sales forecast are made at last. In the statement of the problem, the main issue in the car business are the volatility and the stability of the car sale. And the car sale forecasting let the decision maker choose the best way to buy and sell their car in their business. The modeling, the univariate and the time series needs the ASA, and the multivariate time series needs the EAR. And in my objective of the study, I will use the SSA and the VAR model to model the historical data monthly Malaysia car sales and then compare the both performance to car sales for the car sales forecasting. And my scope of the study is to anticipate the car sale in the Malaysian and the statistical data are from the Malaysian Automotive Association. The Malay will be used in this study. And lastly, my significance of the study is to contribute to the forecasting methodology for the car sale because it might be the efficient marketing method for forecasting in the car industry. The second chapter is the literature review. In the content of the literature review, I have the SSA, VAR, factor of the affecting the car sales in the forecasting the car sales. And the SSA is approaching for the analysis and for forecasting a univariate time series. Its goal is to minimize the number of the components in the original series to a reasonable numbers, and it depends on the time series matrix singular values decomposition. Then the VAR is a natural extension of the univariate time series models, which is the multivariate time series models. The VAR model is more flexible by predicting the expected future courses of a particular variables. Therefore, the VAR model are effective for the structural reasoning and the analysis of the policy in the prediction of the data. Next, in the factor of affecting the car sale, the car product and the price has the relationship with the intent of buying a car. The consumer perception of the quality, values, risk are the identical independent factor to the car sales. The purchase qualities was also related with the car purchasing decision, and the microeconomic factor has a relationship with the Malaysian car driver sales. And lastly, in the forecasting the car sales, some of the finance variables have a relationship with the car sales. The GPT, employment rate, hobby rate, CPI, and the first line expenses with the car sales are the financial science related with the car market. A fuzzy influence machine based on the additive network is used to estimate the new car sale to deal with the hyperlink among those factors. The third chapter is the research methodology. In the content of research methodology, I have the research design and procedures, operation framework, subject or data sources, SSA, VAR, and forecasting performance. In this study, the SSA is the univariate time series method, and the VAR is the multivariate time series method. And this study also discussed the forecast performance valuation. And the data were analyzed from the January 2010 to the December 2020 to establish the relevant predicting models. Also, the data from the January 2021 to the December 2021 are also compared with the projected values produced from the forecasting algorithm used in this study. And in the operational framework, I will obtain the data on the monthly average car sales in Malaysia from the January 2010 to November 2021 from the Malaysian Automotive Association, and the chart will show that the flow of doing this study. First, I will collect the data first, then the second is preparing the data, then use the SSA and the VAR model to estimate the best parameter to forecast the car sale, then compare the forecasting method for the performance. And in the subject or the data sources, the forecasting method used in this study are from the Malaysian Automotive Association time series of the car sales. And the monthly car sale data will be gathered from the January 2010 to the December 2021, totaling 144 record from the data. And next, I will explain the SSA. The purpose of SSA is to create a sum of the origin series. A transformation, decomposition, grouping, reconstruction are the four steps. In transformation, the collector time series is calculated in the arbitrary matrix S and the Mn dimension vector space. In decomposition, the diagonal matrix CD is calculated for the Mn layer covariance. Since the E contains the orthogonal vectors E bit lambdas, the component of S are mutually independent. And the diagonal matrix bit lambda is made out of the order from the 0 and to the lambda m, which is the eigenvector with the square root. And in the grouping, the primary components are merged with the association eigenvector and the original time series is reconstructed. And in reconstruction, the procedure is repeated after adding the initial guide S with the 0 for the forecasted. And the forecasting values is updated with the S with 1 by substituting the initial guide in the Archimedes time series with the Ni plus 1. And in the Archimedes matrix S, the NKN is the major component values and the EKM is the eigenvector components. And it is repeated until the projected values for the S with the Q is approved as the S with the NT minus 1. And in the empirical test, the series of the each data are scaled based on the logarithms to make sure that there has the similar scale of to the older series. And the window length is set up for the car sale in the Malaysia to get the accurate result for the forecasting the car sales. And the number of the component is set up according to the each component's contribution to the time series variance to measure the certification of the car sale trend in the Malaysia. Then next is the VAR, the unit root test, core integration test, Granger's causality test, established model, and the predating are the steps for the VAR. The YT is denoted the current values and the P is denoted the lag in the process of the auto-regression. And the YT minus 1 to the YT minus P is denoted the measurement data, and the data 0 to the data P is denoted the coefficient of the regression. In the unit root test, the enhanced decurrence fluence method is used, which the covariance is independent to the times. The means of the variance and the means and the variance remains constant to determine the stationarity, and the delta YT is denoted to the values of the time series across the time interval 1 minus t, and the delta is denoted to the total of the constant values, and the pi I is denoted to the trans coefficient. And also the test H1, which the delta is less than 0, is used to determine the probability of the unit root occur. And if the data is not steady, the procedure of the differences should be used. And in the core integration test, the remainder ZT is stationary in the regression to see that there is the core integration between the ST and the YT. And as the result, the process of the modeling should be included the part of the first order differences and of the each series, delayed regression mode residues, and the error correction. And in the Granger's causality test, the F test on the F's coefficient delayed in the values, and in the Y regression is used to determine the causation. And to determine the delta YT and the delta ST, the U1T minus 1 and the U2T minus 1 is denoted as the error correction. And the epsilon 1T and the epsilon 2T is denoted the remainder models. The NN and the P is denoted as the lag numbers. And it is calculated using the ordinary slash square approaches to assume that the regression equation is unrelated. The T is denoted as the sample size, and the K is the M plus 1 if the two series are co-integrated. Otherwise, the K is n plus 2 if E is not co-integrated. Also, if the FPE with the arbitrary m and n is less than the FPE with the arbitrary m, then fix the m to the best values, which is the arbitrary m, and alter the n to reduce the FPE with the arbitrary m and n, so the S ranker produce the y. In the established model, the AIC is used to calculate the lab values. The yi is denoted the observed values and the yr is denoted the means. Where the AIC is models, it is better to take the delayed values. And the following is the model which include the Carsius time series as well as the other variables where the C is stand for the intersection constant and the epsilon is denoted as the error values. And in the predicting, the equations are estimated and all the coefficients are acquired with the correlation of the historical observation. Following that, the 1 month hash value are predicted. The equations are estimated with the outdated data as the time is passed and the out of the sample result are acquired. And in the empirical test, the economy indicator in the Malaysia are selected to improve the result of the forecasting car sale in the Malaysia. By regrading the model's constraints, the 5 monthly indicator are chosen. The Y is the average monthly car sale from the historical data, and the S1 is the consumer price index, the S2 is the consumer coefficient index, and the S3 is the producer's price index, and the S4 is the front retest price, then the last S5 is the vehicle price. The series of those 6 variables are scaled based on the algorithm to make sure that there has the similar scale in all the series, and the first order difference graph are plotted. And the process of the unit root test, co-integration test, Granger's causality test, established models, and the predicting are repeated to get the result of the prediction. And the ARIMA is also conducted to obtain the out of the sample result to get the input of the parameters, but it is not shown in this study because it is not the scope of this study. Lastly, I will calculate the forecasting accurate value using the MAPE and the RMSE after producing SSA and the VAR model for forecasting in the forecasting performance. MAPE is denoted the calculation that show that how near the projected values and the actual numbers are, and the FT is denoted the prediction values. The YT is denoted the actual values, and another YT is denoted the duration of the time series. The RMSE is denoted the standard derivation of the error of the prediction, and the YT plus I is denoted the prediction values of another YT plus I. And if the RMSE is 0 or smaller, the prediction is assumed as the perfect and accurate. The fourth chapter is the expected finding. The prediction in the SSA and the VAR model is reasonable to be used through the empirical test. The result of the car sale should show a rising trend by using the SSA and the VAR model. The SSA and the VAR model should produce a satisfactory result in the AMPE and the RNSE. And however, the AMPE and the RNSE of the VAR models must be accurate than the SSA model for forecasting the car sale in Malaysia. Therefore, the VAR model has a better forecasting result than the SSA model for forecasting the car sale in Malaysia. The last chapter is the conclusion. In the conclusion, the car sale in Malaysia were forecasted and modeled using the SSA and the VAR models. The VAR model for the Malaysian car sale should be the more accurate forecasting method in this study. The forecaster must possess the professional knowledge to calculate the parameter and perform the dynamometric check to confirm the model suitability. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.